Hi everyone, on this episode I thought I would show you how I make my homemade kombucha. I've been making kombucha for probably the last 18 months to 2 years and just really perfected a couple of flavours. I've stuck to those because I like them, but let me show you how it's done. Okay, so I have everything out that I need to do my kombucha. Kombucha is basically made up of green tea, white sugar, and the Scobie. And the Scobie is the bacteria, the good bacteria that eats the white sugar that formulates the drink. I have a rather large Scobie now. It has grown, so I can sort of last about a week to make the kombucha. And in normal circumstances with a new Scobie that you buy from the shop, or if you get a piece from a friend, it will probably take nearly 2 weeks for it to be ready to drink. So in this water here I've put in some vinegar, and the vinegar helps to get rid of any bad bacteria and to sterilise the bottles. And over here I have my finished kombucha. This has taken 7 days to be ready, and it smells beautiful. It's actually it looks terrible, but it smells beautiful. It smells a little bit yeasty and a little bit sweet. So that's the Scobie sitting on the top, and this is the actual drink that we have here. So what I'll do is I let the bottle sit in the vinegar water for a little while for it to become free of bacteria, and then I start to fill those bottles up. In the interim, I have a second container here that I use as my second batch, and when I actually make the new batch, I do make a smaller batch because I get so much out of this big batch that I don't need 2 big ones. And then I just have my white sugar, and I use organic green tea, the green tea bags. So for this size it's 16 green tea bags, and for this size 8 green tea bags. A cup of sugar in this size, 2 cups of sugar into this size. You'll see that we have this container. I actually do make the tea in a smaller container first with boiled filtered water, and then I pop my tea bags in there. That just speeds up the process of making the tea. If I was to make the tea directly into these, firstly putting hot water straight into glass like this will actually have them crack, which is not ideal, and it would take probably nearly all day to cool it down. Okay, so I'm just filling up the kettle with some filtered water. We're lucky we have filtered water on tap here. So I use a full kettle. And whilst that kettle boils, I'll show you how I make the tea. So this has been sterilised. I'll pop in, because I'm making the smaller batch this week, it's only going to be 8 tea bags. Sugar. As you know, obviously my diet is lazy keto, or my way of eating, and some might say, why do you have sugar? Sugar is what the bacteria needs to survive and eat on to convert it into the kombucha drink. So there's not very much sugar left once it's been converted. Whilst I consume it. So I actually haven't tested it exactly, so I don't know exactly how much sugar is left in it, but I think that the good bacteria that I get for my gut health is probably more important. So I've just filled up my cup, as I said, with this size, which I think is a 2 litre one. You only need a cup, and with this one, which I think is a 4 litre, I'll double check that for you, but it should be two cups of sugar. So just pop the sugar in. And once the kettle boils, we will fill that up. Just use a stainless steel spoon, which I pop in the vinegar water just to kill off any germs, because I will need to dissolve that sugar in the tea mixture. Okay, so we have a couple of bottles here ready to go, which we will empty. So I usually sit them in for about 10 minutes in the water. Anywhere between 5 and 10 minutes I find is fine. Just give them a bit of a shake out. I do also put the caps in, so I'll pop in some more. It's really important not to miss this step, because you want to try and kill off any bad bacteria. You don't want it growing. Oh, there's the kettle finished. So while we let these three sit in there, fill this one up with the hot water from the kettle. So this was, remember, filtered water. It must be filtered water. Oops. Don't want that in there. And we just melt all that sugar in with the tea bags. So I'll let this steep for basically for the entire time that it takes me to get everything else organised. So get the other tea, kombucha, sorry, sorted into the bottles, and then sterilise the new container and so on and so forth, which you'll see. So that sugar is now completely melted into that water, and those tea bags will just sit at the top there. Okay, so over to here, filling up the bottles. I probably won't bore you with this in detail, but we might put it on time lapse so you can see it happening. Okay, so I've now filled up all the bottles, basically just enough so I can get the flavour in. So the flavour that we love is some passion fruit, and then also these mango chunks. So it's passion fruit mango. And also the other flavour we really like is just blueberries. Now you need to use the frozen blueberries, because if you don't, you won't get any flavour within your kombucha. So to just go ahead and add 30 blueberries to each bottle that I'm going to put blueberries in. And then I will go ahead and cut up the mango chunks because they're too big to fit in the nose of the bottle. I've got 4 of these passion fruits of this size, so when I cut those and pop them in the bowl, I take out everything, then I cut up the skin, the chewy bits inside, and then I'll put basically 1 passion fruit per each bottle plus the mango. So again, I won't bore you with the detail of that, and I'll do it on time lapse so you can see what I'm actually doing. Just in the interim, I have actually put the second container into the vinegar water. So whilst I'm doing the drinks, this is getting rid of any bacteria that might be in there, and also our tea is steeping still. So let's carry on. So in here you'll see that I have created 4 passion fruit and mango. So I always start with a level of, try and keep them all level of the same with the kombucha mixture, and then try and keep them again level so I know that they've got similar or the same amount of fruit that's gone into them. The fruit is important because that keeps the kombucha still active, because I keep it out of the fridge for 2 days now. And once it goes into the fridge, it will deactivate. So I'll now pop the lids on these and then put them into a dark, cool place. Leave those for the next day if we can last that long, because we've actually run out and we really want some. Out of the fridge, then I'll pop them all in the fridge for consumption. Now this is the actual Scobie. The Scobie itself, I've just washed my hands in the vinegar water just to make sure I don't put any bad bacteria on my Scobie. This is the mother Scobie that I've had for nearly 2 years. She has produced a lot over that period of time, including many babies. And yes, this is really gross, but I do give it a bit of a clean up before I put it into the next batch. But that's basically baby Scobies that have all grouped together. Once you get Scobies this big, it just takes less time. Next step is to build the next one. So you'll see there is still some liquid in the bottom of this container. That's on purpose because you need to introduce a little bit of that liquid plus the Scobie into the new green tea mixture. Okay, so we first, as I said before, adding hot water to these glass containers is not ideal because it will break them. So the first thing we do is add some filtered water straight into the container. Obviously we need to make sure that we leave enough room for our tea and the additional liquid in the original. So that should be enough so it doesn't break the glass when we add the hot water in from the tea, and then we can top it up when we know what we need to. So we literally are just going to add this green tea that has been sitting for quite some time now. into this container. See the lovely colour? You know it's been steeping for a long time, or stooping for a long time. And that's about all we want, because we need to add in the kombucha liquid and also the Scobie to that. It does need to be cool for the Scobie to be added, otherwise it will burn the Scobie and obviously no effectiveness. So I'm just going to add a little bit more cold water to this, and I'll use this container because I know it's sterile. So again, the filtered water. It also gets the last of the tea out, which is good. Just gets it. Still a bit hot. We might need to leave that now for an hour or so before I can add the Scobie, because the last thing I want to do is harm the Scobie. So we'll check back in later. I've now got the tea cool enough to be able to add the kombucha into the tea. I have covered it with, they say muslin's really good because it can breathe. This is a tea towel that's very much similar, so I just cut it up and I use it to cover each one. Basically I swap them each week to make sure that they're clean. So what we'll do is the Scobie out and add it to the tea. Just with this I try and remove sort of the really brown gritty bits. Doesn't really matter, because at the end of the day it's all good bacteria. I just probably don't need so much Scobie when it comes to this little batch. So I do take the opportunity to sort of peel away some of that. The new cover over the top, the fresh one. Just put that down. Now it's important that it's stored in a dark, but the flow of the air needs to be around it. So I found this little nook in our house that seems to be one of the best places to keep it, because it's dark but it also gets the air around it. So this is my area where I store the kombucha until it goes in the fridge. Just put this underneath in case it drips, and that's it. So basically that's how I make my kombucha every week. That one will only need probably 4 days to come to fruition. At that point then I'll do the same process over again and put it into the big one. We made our kombucha drink 24 hours ago. I've put it in the fridge just to show you the end result. I do strain it because I don't like the fruit, but you don't have to strain it. Straining it really does take some of the good bacteria out, so it's really a preference. So you do need to be mindful when opening up your kombucha because it can explode with fizz. Okay, there you have it. A beautiful, sweet, glorious drink. Cheers.